All right, at the end of the last video, I saved these two vector transferable files, the EPS and the SVG, to go along with my AI file for assignment 4. I'm going to update them into my folder, replace the old ones because I updated the designs. And now I'm ready to do color variations. Now to do color variations, I do not do this. I do not open any of those vector files with Adobe Photoshop because it will give me this. It will force me to rasterize it. What does rasterizing do? It turns an image into pixels, right? We don't want the vector to ever be turned into pixels. Instead, what we want to do is open a new file in Photoshop. So we open up Photoshop, not any particular file, just the program, and then we say new file or file new. And we're going to give it a name. Your name, assignment 4, your name and a description, and this will be my Earth Day logo. And then the size is going to be the same for everybody because a vector can be turned into any size. It's infinitely scalable. So we are going to make it the size we need for printing for our midterm critiques and for the library display. That's going to be 7.5 inches wide by 9.5 inches tall. The mats say that they're 8 by 10, but there's a 1/4 inch overlap on each side. So what that real measurement is 7.5 inches wide by 9.5 inches tall. Then we hit create and we just get that white rectangle that's 7.5 by 9.5, not by 120. So check that. By 350 pixels per inch. And I have it up on the board. So once that's correct, there we go, 7.5 by 9.5 by 350. Then you're going to take your EPS file, one of those transferable vectors that you saved out of Illustrator, and you're going to drag it and drop it onto that Photoshop space. It might fill up the whole thing. It might fill up smaller. It doesn't really matter. It's a vector and it's infinitely scalable. So how can I scale it? I hold down Option while I drag it from a corner, and that will grow it from the middle. So this is a nice layout exercise. If you remember from doing our refined storyboards, the only way to get something centered into Photoshop is to grow stuff around it, right? So this brings it in dead center, and then you hold down Option to grow. Now, how do I decide how big it should be and where it should be placed? Because I can move it up or I can move it down. This black part, that's the mat. The white part is what's showing underneath the mat. And so you decide what kind of space you want. This is exactly what you'll see when it prints. So once you have it placed, then you're going to turn off your background. And you're going to say, File, Save a Copy. Now, why did we turn off the background? Because we want our black shape logo to have no background, right? So it can float onto any background color. And then I'm going to choose a format that can go online and go to Canvas. And the one that supports transparency is PNG, just like when we did our emojis or our creatures. When you're not filling a rectangle, when it's free floating, you need, as an online format, you need to save it as a PNG with the background turned off. Okay, now I'm going to go to Canvas. And I'm going to go to assignment 4. I'll shortcut it by going to assignments. And I'm going to post that. That's the second requirement for assignment 4. The first is your refined sketch, which is just a JPEG. The second requirement is the clean vector shapes. And I'm going to update mine because you saw me add to it a little bit. So I'm going to take this one out. And it's saved as a PNG with no background after dragging your EPS file into Photoshop. That is 7.5 inches by 9.5 inches at 350 pixels per inch. In parentheses. All right. saved it to the desktop, didn't I? Did I not finish saving it? Go to Photoshop. So I need to, I thought I did. I'll make sure. Save a copy. Oh, it went to downloads as a PNG, and I'll send it to the desktop. So I can find it. Always helpful to save to the desktop. Here it is. Now this is an online file format, so I mark it orange. Right? And I move it into my assignment 4 folder, and I'm going to move it here. And it replaces my older version. Okay, now I have to shrink it and then hit save. Now there's only one requirement left. This is the one that's pixel based. That's the refined sketch. This is the vector that's infinitely scalable. It's perfectly clean. That's what should really read well. Now we need the color variation. This thing. So I go back to that Photoshop file. I turn on the background, and then I make a duplicate, Command J, of the black vector layer. Notice it's a smart object, which means it's infinitely scalable, just like a vector shape, and I can't erase it or change it significantly without rasterizing it first. And I don't want to rasterize it. So how can I color it if I'm not going to rasterize it? Well, coloring is an attribute to the smart object. So to open up those attributes, what do? We click on the gray of the layer. Not the title of the layer, not the icon of the layer, but the gray. Double click left with it, and you'll open up the layer styles. Now, the most basic is color overlay. You can have a lot of fun with these. I'll try to keep things at the default, but as you mess with them, they'll remember the last thing you did. And students sometimes go kind of crazy with these. So let's look at color overlay. You click on it, and then it will open up its options to the right. Do not use the plus signs. The plus signs mean you want to add a different instance of it, and that gets really confusing really fast. So just make use of these where you find they're appropriate. So this is for Earth Day. What's my color version? Well, maybe I want to make a green version of it. So I'm going to choose in the color window a green. Now, color overlay is very simple. It's just like printing your black stamp with a different color ink. If it's on normal mode with a 100% opacity, it completely replaces your black. And what's nice is you'll see it as an effect underneath your layer. So it can be turned on and off. And you can edit it anytime by just double clicking again. So once you've understood what that does, go ahead and turn that off, and it will remember your selection if you ever want to turn it back on. And now we're going to try gradient overlay, which is something I want everyone to play with. Now gradient overlay, if I go to defaults, it'll just be normal. It'll be at 100% opacity. And it might be just a basic gradient like this. So instead of choosing the color, you're going to choose the gradient you want to fill it with. And if you click on that, you'll get all of these folders of gradients that come with Photoshop. And then you can load in your own gradients. And I have some crazy ones that I've loaded in that I like. But it doesn't matter because any gradient can be modified. So I'm just going to keep it simple. And I'm going to go for just the blues. So you get all these beautiful blues. And then I say, oh, I think this one looks nice. Nice and pleasing. Or maybe this one, or maybe this one. And all it is the gradient. Sometimes with 3 colors like this one. Sometimes with just 2, end to end. But I like that 3 color one. On this editor, I can change any of those colors. So if I don't want it to be so pastel, I can click on that one, click on the color selector, and make that more of a green. Anywhere I want. And then for the blue, maybe I don't want it to be such a springtime blue. I have to say okay for the green. So I can modify this one. And I can make it like a deeper blue and a different part of the spectrum. Maybe there. Okay, and then for this one, that's just too light to really have an impact. Or maybe I want to change it to like a yellow. So let's say that that's my new custom gradient. So I say okay, but that's not over. I can also play with the angle of the gradient. It doesn't need to be 90 degrees straight up and down. So I'm going to do it at a slight angle like that. And my favorite is you can play with the scale of the gradient. How strong is it? How far does it get spread across your image? So I kind of like that. I might even decide to add a new color. And I can just do that by clicking on the gradient and then clicking on the bar for it and then changing that color. And I want this to be maybe like an autumny orange or brown. And then I might want to move that over here. Right? And let's brighten it up a little bit. And let's darken that yellow a little bit. So you have tons of control. That's just with the gradient tool. And then I can play with the scale and kind of push that brown off a little bit. So yeah, the yellow and the brown is still there, but it's really subtle now. And if I want the blue to be closer to the bottom, right? And maybe I want to change that blue color, make it a little bit more subtle. I can do all of this, right? With that gradient tool. And maybe that green is now too saturated, so I gray it out a little bit. This is what corporations like. Yeah, okay. So that's using the gradient overlay. And that's using it at 100% opacity in normal mode. Now, if I put the color overlay on top of that, because this effect is on top of that effect, they're stacked. And this one completely covers it. But what if I do it at a lower opacity? So I'm just going to mix green into it at only 15%. It still does something, but not as much. And then I can decide, oh, I want to do this not at a normal mode, but at a dissolve mode. So it kind of peeks through like texture construction paper. And that's just using color overlay and gradient overlay. And so, yeah, I think that looks pretty nice. What are some other things I can do? I can do a drop shadow. These are effects. I can play with the distance. I can play with the angle. The size is really large, so let me make it a little bit clearer. There we go, and not quite so big. So you can see that drop shadow. And the angle is going to matter, right? Maybe I don't want it so dark. Maybe I want it very subtle, right? But I don't like how that's softening the cutouts. So I'm just going to turn that off. But if I ever want it again, it's there for me. And then the very top, this is beveling and embossing and texturing. So what beveling does, it gives you this 3D effect with a highlight on one side and a shadow on the other. And I have to set the angle for it. I'll do it at the opposite angle. So now I can decide how much that shows, right? That highlight on the top and that shadow on the bottom.